Hello friends, today we are going to study as part of our international relations the emergence of third world. Third world countries are poor countries in the world. They are economically backward, they are politically suffer from instability, they are culturally and socially diversified, and they are constantly facing the problem of debt trap. So these countries are situated in Asian continent, African continent, and Latin American continent. So these countries are generally referred as third world countries. So the process of decolonization completed in 20th century. All the countries which have got independence and got sovereignty in 20th century organized themselves as third world countries in different organizations like Non-Alignment Movement, Group of 77, South-South Commission, and other things. So this is how all the countries that have got independence after Second World War and they are politically independent and got sovereign rights, sovereignty, are called as third world countries. Generally, the third world countries are situated in 4 continents: the Asian continent, the African continent, the South American continent, and Australian continent. So this is how the countries of Asia, Africa, South America, and Oceania are generally referred to as third world countries. These countries are still developing. The pace of development is very slow. These countries are slowly developing themselves economically, and they are also regaining their political stability in the recent past. So the developing countries of Asia, Africa, South America, and Oceania are generally referred as third world countries. Now we can see the pictures of Asian continent, African continent, South American continent, and Australian continent here. So the countries of these continents, which constitute nearly about 120 to 140 countries, they are called as the third world countries. And countries which are economically poor, non-industrialized, and politically under colonial rule in history are described as third world countries. There are 3 important indicators to know the nature of third world countries. One is they are economically poor. Their per capita income is very less. Their capital formation is very less. They are agricultural dependent economies mostly. The industrialization is very marginal. So the countries which are economically poor, non-industrialized, and politically under colonial rule in history, and recently got political independence, are called as the third world countries. Here we can see there are 3 important characteristics. One is economically poor, second one is non-industrialized, and third one is politically under control colonial rule in history. So these 3 important aspects indicate the nature of the third world countries. And the term third world arose during the Cold War to refer to countries which remained non-aligned to NATO or Warsaw Pact. So shortly after the Second World War, there was a Cold War between America and Soviet Union. So America led West European military alliance called NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, organized itself against Soviet Union and its allies. And on the other hand, Soviet Union and its allies have made an arrangement called Warsaw Pact. So these 2 important military pacts, NATO and Warsaw, challenged each other, mutually challenging, and they were luring the third world countries or the countries which have just got independence from the colonial rule. So the third world countries of Asia, Africa, and Latin America wanted to remain non-aligned. They are neutral and they do not want to align themselves either with NATO or with Warsaw Pact. Here we see the Statue of Liberty as a symbol of American dominance in NATO Pact, and here with the building of Kremlin in Russia, which was a part of Warsaw Pact. So this is how this NATO Pact and Warsaw Pact were mutually challenging each other. One is led by Americans, the other one is led by Soviet Union. So the other countries who have not belonged to either of these two pacts are called as third world countries. These third world countries want to remain independent, and they want to maintain their neutrality without aligning either with NATO or with Warsaw Pact. So the term third world arose during the Cold War to refer to countries which remained non-aligned to NATO and Warsaw Pact. So this is also another important factor. In fact, this is a strategic factor. In the last slide, we have seen three important aspects. All the third world countries are called as economically poor, non-industrialized, and politically under colonial rule in history, are called as non-aligned countries. Third world countries. So these third world countries have also a strategic importance, strategic character of not being aligned to either NATO or Warsaw Pact. So the third world arose. The term third world arose during the Cold War to refer countries which remained non-aligned to NATO or Warsaw Pact. So these countries do not want to align themselves either with the NATO Pact countries or with Warsaw Pact countries. So they are called as the neutral countries or non-aligned countries. So these non-aligned countries are called as the third world countries. So the third world countries are referred with the different names. They are referred to as poor countries, less developed economies like LDCs, less developed countries, or global south countries. So these countries are referred with the different names. Sometimes people call them as poor countries. Sometimes these countries are referred as less developed countries or LDCs or global south countries. So this is how third world countries are referred with the different names. In fact, the word third world is first used by a famous historian of France, Alfred Sauvé. He has coined the term third world. A famous historian of France, Alfred Sauvé, has coined the term third world to denote the countries that have recently got independence in 1960s and 70s and who prefer to be neutral from joining either American alliance or Russian alliance. They are called as the third world countries. And famous historian of France, Alfred Sauvé, coined the term third world. So many of the third world countries were under colonial rule of European powers and were decolonized in 20th century. So as I have time and again telling you, that third world countries are under colonial rule of European powers, like Great Britain, France, Norway, Holland, Portugal, Spain, Italy, Germany, and Russia. So these are the European powers which have acquired colonies throughout the world, mostly in Asia, Africa, and Latin America, and Oceania area. That's called the Australian continent. So the countries which were under colonial subjugation during 17th century to 20th century and decolonized in 20th century are called as third world countries. So many of the third world countries were under colonial rule of European powers, and they have got independence and decolonized only in 20th century. So these countries are referred as third world countries. So friends, today we'll be studying about the resurgence of third world countries. We have a lesson plan here. First of all, we should know what is third world, its meaning and nature. Secondly, we'll be studying about the classification of countries. And this classification is done by two important philosophers. One is Mao Zedong, a socialist philosopher, and second one is a nationalist philosopher called Frantz Fanon. So these two important philosophers have classified the whole countries of the world into three groups based on the concept of development, economic development. So the classification of countries in third world by Mao Zedong and Frantz Fanon will be discussed. After that, we'll be knowing some of the countries in different continents, which are called as the third world countries, the Asian countries, the African countries, the Latin American countries, and Oceania countries. So we'll be knowing about different countries by their names in third world context. And fourthly, we'll also be studying about the characteristic features of third world. What are the important features of third world? As I've been telling you from the beginning, the third world countries have suffered from political instability, economic poverty, and social instability, social crisis, and cultural diversity. These are some of the important characteristic features. We'll be discussing in detail what are the important characteristics, features of third world countries, which make them easily recognizable from the other countries. So characteristic features of third world is also being studied. And after that, we'll be studying about social, political, and economic conditions of the third world countries. What are the political conditions, economic conditions, and social conditions? And of course, the cultural conditions of the third world countries will be studied. Socially, there are so many conflicts and cleavages. Politically, they are unstable, and very frequently they face a political coup and also dethronement of civilian governments by military rulers. That's called political instability. And even the economic conditions are also very deplorable conditions. So this is how we'll be discussing about the social, political, and economic conditions of the third world. After that, we'll be discussing about third world in world affairs. What is the role of third world and how third world plays as a group in the world politics and world affairs. As a part of studying international relations, we must know the activities of the third world countries in the world affairs, and as a part of world affairs, how the third world countries frame their policies and strengthen the United Nations and other organizations. So after that, we'll make a critical evaluation of the whole lesson. So this is the lesson plan. The lesson plan has nearly 7 points. One is the third world, meaning and nature. Secondly, the classification of countries, which are called third world. This classification is done by mainly two philosophers, Mao Zedong and Frantz Fanon. So we'll be discussing in detail about Mao Zedong's classification and Frantz Fanon's classification. After that, we'll be knowing about different countries of the third world by name in different continents. After that, we'll also be discussing about the characteristic features of the third world countries. And after that, we'll also be discussing the social, political, and economic conditions of the third world countries. So lastly, we'll go through the role of third world countries in world affairs and what is the contribution of third world to the world politics. So that also will be studying before making a critical evaluation of the whole lesson. So this is the lesson plan. Now first we'll go by point, and first we'll see what is third world. So as I've been telling you from the beginning, the countries of Asia, Africa, Latin America, and Oceania are referred as third world countries. The countries of Asia, particularly South Asia, Southeast Asia, Central Asia, and West Asia, and also the countries of Africa and the countries of Latin America, which is also known as South America, and Oceania. Oceania countries are the Australian continent countries. So the countries of these 4 continents, particularly Asia, Africa, Latin America, and Oceania, are referred as third world countries. So this is the third world. And now let us see the meaning and nature of third world countries. Third world countries are poor in terms of Human Development Index. In fact, the development of human civilization in any country and civilizational values, educational status, the per capita incomes, the empowerment of women, gender sensitivity. These are some of the items. Based on these items, the Human Development Index is calibrated. In fact, the Human Development Index is an index started by a Pakistani social economist, Mahbubul Haq. So based on his index, the United Nations every year count the Human Development Index of different countries. So, but these countries, the third world countries, have a poor count of Human Development Index. That's one thing. And they are also poor in terms of per capita incomes. So the gross national product divided by population of the country is called as per capita income. The ratio between the gross national income and the population is known as the per capita income. And the per capita incomes are also very less for the people of these countries. And consequently, the capital formation is also very less in these countries. So third world countries are poor in terms of Human Development Index, per capita incomes, and capital formations. So this is the nature of third world countries. And after that, the third world countries are in debt trap and are making efforts for revival of their economies. The World Bank, IMF, Asian Development Bank, European Economic Union, and some of the leading economies of the world lend some money to these countries for various projects. So the third world countries are virtually in debt trap, and a significant amount of their national budget is paid as an installment to their debt every year. So that's why the countries could not initiate any development in any sector. So the third world countries are in debt trap and are making efforts for the revival of their economies. This is also an important factor. Now let us see what is the classification of third world countries. The third world countries are classified into three types. In fact, the countries of the world are classified into three types. The countries of the world are classified on the basis of levels of development. As we all know, some of the countries in the modern world have got their revolutions and independence much faster than other countries. Like England got its revolution in 1688, France has got its revolution in 1789, American War of Independence in 1776. So these countries are well ahead of all other countries in achieving economic progress also. While on the one hand, these countries have achieved their political independence and they have framed their respective constitutions. They have guaranteed fundamental rights to their people. On the other hand, they have also initiated various economic programs for the prosperity of their economies. That's how the countries which are very well developed are called as first world countries. So based on the concept of development or the levels of development in different countries, the countries are classified into three worlds, three types: first world countries, second world countries, and third world countries. So the West Indian philosopher Frantz Fanon has categorized the countries into three worlds. The West Indian philosopher Frantz Fanon, who wrote a book called Wretched of the Earth. So in his famous book, Wretched of the Earth, Frantz Fanon has indicated that the countries of the world can be classified into three types based on the levels of development. So according to Frantz Fanon, the capitalist countries like West European countries and North American countries are the first world countries. So in the West European countries, we have Germany, France, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland, Britain, and various other countries. And likewise, the North American countries, we have Canada, America, and Mexico. So these are called as North American countries. So the countries of West Europe and North America are called as first world countries because they are the capitalist countries and their per capita incomes are very high. They have virtually achieved self-sufficiency in their economy, and they are prosperous in many sectors at a time: agriculture sector, industrial sector, services sector, technological sector, banking and insurance sector, and various other sectors of the economy. So the capitalist countries like West European countries and North American countries are called as the first world countries. And likewise, the socialist countries like Russia, China, and East Europe are called as second world countries. So ideologically, the first world countries are capitalist countries, the second world countries are socialist countries. So the remaining countries after the first world and second world are called as the third world countries. So the countries that were decolonized in 19th and 20th centuries of Asia, Africa, and Latin America are called as third world countries. So we can now say that third world countries have got their independence in 19th and 20th centuries, and these countries are located in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. So these are referred as third world countries. According to Frantz Fanon. Frantz Fanon is a West Indian philosopher and who wrote a great book called Wretched of the Earth. So in his great book, Wretched of the Earth, Frantz Fanon has categorized the world, the countries of the world, into three types based on the levels of development. So the capitalist countries, the socialist countries, and the third world countries. So the capitalist countries are like West European countries and North American countries. They are called as the first world countries. The socialist countries are Russia, China, and East European countries, which are called as second world countries. And the remaining countries, that means the countries that were decolonized in 19th and 20th century and which are located in Asia, Africa, Latin America, and Oceania, are called as the third world countries. So this classification is given by a famous philosopher, a West Indian philosopher, who also wrote books on Algeria also. So he's a philosopher of Algeria and West Indian Caribbean islands. So he's called Frantz Fanon. He wrote a book called The Wretched of the Earth. In the book Wretched of the Earth, he has classified the nations of the world into three types: well-developed, developed, and developing. The well-developed are called as the first world countries, developed countries are called as second world countries, and developing countries are called as the third world countries, according to Frantz Fanon. After that, another important philosopher, he's a socialist philosopher, belongs to our neighboring country, China, and he is a famous leader in socialist ideology of 20th century, Mao Zedong. Mao Zedong. Mao Zedong was the head of Chinese state for so many years, and he's a socialist philosopher. He has brought in so many reforms in socialist ideology. And Mao Zedong, as a socialist philosopher, proposed his three-world theory. According to Mao, the first world countries are USA and USSR. USA and USSR are called as first world countries. America and Soviet Union are called as first world countries. And Japan, Canada, and Europe are called as second world countries. So these countries are industrially developed and their per capita incomes are very high. These countries have rich economic index, human development index. So Japan, Canada, and Europe are called as the second world countries. And the remaining countries like continental Asia, Africa, and Latin America. So the countries of Asia, Africa, and Latin American continents is called as the third world countries. So we can see a change between Frantz Fanon's classification and Mao's classification. While Frantz Fanon classified the world countries on the basis of development, and he based his development on the basis of ideology, the capitalist ideology, the socialist ideology, and decolonized ideology. And here, Mao proposed a new type of classification wherein he figures USA and USSR the first world, Japan, Canada, and Europe as the second world, and continental Asia, Africa, and Latin America as third world. So this is how Mao Zedong, as a socialist philosopher, who proposed this three world theory. Now let us see what are the different countries of the third world. In Asia, we have South Asia, Southeast Asia, West Asia, and East Central Asia. In Africa, we have South Africa, Namibia, Nigeria, Zimbabwe, and other countries. In South Asia, we have India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Maldives, Afghanistan. And in Southeast Asia, we have Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam, Korea, Burma, Indonesia, China, Laos, Cambodia. These countries are called Southeast Asian countries. And likewise in West Asia, we have Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Oman, Kuwait, Yemen, and other countries. In Central Asia, we have Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, and other countries. So all these countries are called as the Asian countries. And these Asian countries are suffering from economic poverty and political instability. So these are called as third world countries. Likewise, in African continent, we have South Africa, Namibia, Nigeria, Kenya, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Zaire, Eritrea, Somalia, Ethiopia, Egypt, Libya. So these countries are called as third world countries. And likewise in Latin America, we have Brazil, Chile, Peru, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, West Indies, and other countries. So these are called as the third world countries in Latin America. And in the Oceania, that means Australia, Micronesia, Fiji, Kiribati, New Zealand, Samoa, Tuvalu Republic, and various other countries. So these countries are constantly in debt trap. Their economies are very poor. They are agriculture dependent. Their capital formations are very low, inadequate. So they are economically underdeveloped and politically unstable and socially and culturally very volatile with the crisis, conflicts, and cleavages. So these countries are called as the third world countries. So the third world countries consist of the countries of Asia, Africa, Latin America, and Oceania continents. So they are broadly called as the third world countries. Now let us see what are the characteristic features of third world countries. So third world countries have certain important features. These features signify the difference between the third world countries and other countries. The first one is many of these countries are under colonial rule for centuries together. Take for example India. The Britishers have come to India in 17th century and they have left India in 1947, that is the middle of 20th century. So likewise, many of the Asian countries, African countries, Latin American countries, and Oceania countries were under colonial subjugation and rule for over 2 centuries or 3 centuries. And only during 20th century, middle of the 20th century, or in the last decades of the 20th century, these countries were given political independence and their sovereign rights are recognized. The sovereign rights of the native people, the native people's right to self-determination is recognized by the colonial rulers only during the second half of 20th century. So that's why the countries of Asia, Africa, Latin America, and Oceania were under colonial rule for centuries together. This is the first and foremost important character. And secondly, these countries are economically exploited by colonial rulers. So colonial rulers, by making political domination in these respective countries, they have also plundered the natural resources of these economies. They have made a drain from these countries to their own native countries of their economic resources. As our nationalist leader Dadabhai Naoroji wrote a book on the plunder of wealth by colonial powers on different colonies. In this context, he also coined the drain theory, and in which he says the economies of the colonies were virtually exploited by the colonial powers. And he described it as the flow of wealth, the drain of wealth from colonies to metropolis. So metropolis are the colonial powers. European powers are called as metropolis, and these metropolis have controlled different colonies in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. So the economically exploited countries by colonial rulers are called as the third world countries. The first one is they are under colonial subjugation for centuries in the history. And secondly, these countries were economically exploited by colonial rulers, not just for 1 year or a decade or a few years. They have plundered these economies for centuries together. So the natural resources, the physical resources, the human resources, all the resources besides the revenues of the respective countries are exploited by the colonial powers for centuries together. So the third world countries are economically exploited by the colonial rulers. And after getting independence, after decolonization, the third world countries followed the policy of non-alignment. Non-alignment means not aligning themselves either with America or with Russia, either with the military alliance led by America or with the military alliance led by Soviet Union. So they wanted a policy of neutrality. That's called as positive neutrality. So by making the positive neutrality a policy of non-alignment, they prefer to be independent by not joining or not aligning themselves either with the American-led NATO Kutami, NATO Treaty Organization, or the Soviet Union-led Warsaw Pact Organization. So this is how they follow strategically a policy of non-alignment. This is an important characteristic. And fourthly, they demanded a new international economic order. A new international economic order which is favorable to the economies of the third world. Generally, the third world countries supply the raw material for all the industries of the developing countries. And the developed countries take the raw material from the third world countries and they make finished goods with their industries. And again, the industrial goods are transported to third world countries as economic markets. So the third world countries wanted a fair price for their raw material and less price for the finished goods. So this is how they make a bargain with the rich countries. So the dialogue between rich countries and poor countries in this regard is called as North-South dialogue. The North countries are referred as the prosperous countries of the world, and South countries are referred as the third world countries, which are very poor, which are dependent on each other, which are economically exploited, which have suffered from political instability, which have social conflicts and cleavages. So this is how all the third world countries demand a new international economic order in which the third world countries will have an advantage, particularly in selling away the raw material from their country and in purchasing the finished goods from the developing countries. So the demand for new international economic order is also another important aspect. And third world countries also have social and cultural diversities. There are so many cultures, there are so many social groups, social divisions in any society. Take for example the Indian society, the Chaturvarna system or the caste system that makes a functional division of society into various castes, subcastes and varnas. That's a social division. Likewise, we have cultural diversities like Hindu culture, Islamic culture, Christian culture, Buddhist culture, Jain culture, Zoroastrian culture, Parsi culture. So these countries are almost multicultural countries with so many diversities. There are cultural differentials in these countries. So socially and economically, there are so many diversities in these countries. So these characteristics, features, separate these countries from other countries, and these characteristic features signify the nature of the third world countries. First of all, they were under colonial rule for centuries in the history. Secondly, the third world countries are economically exploited by colonial rulers for centuries together. And thirdly, they follow the policy of non-alignment. They follow the policy of non-alignment as a foreign policy choice, and they demand a new international economic order in which the third world countries seek advantage from the selling of raw material to the developed countries, or seeking technology transfer from the developed countries to developing countries. And likewise, there are also social and cultural diversities in these countries. So these characteristics signify the nature of the third world countries. Now let us see what are the social, political, and economic conditions that are prevailing in these countries. As we are discussing it, first of all, these countries are socially suffer from internal conflicts and cleavages. So there are so many tribes, there are so many castes, there are so many religions, there are so many languages, there are so many races. Besides the patriarchal domination in every society. So that's how, due to the internal conflicts and cleavages, they socially suffer, and more often they see violence as a mark of this diversity. So there is intolerance, there is always tensions among the social groups. So these social groups make conflict with each other in the form of tribal conflicts in Africa, caste conflicts in India, religious conflicts in Southeast Asia and other countries. So socially, they suffer from internal conflicts and cleavages. And secondly, poverty, unemployment, illiteracy, and these countries have fallen in debt trap. So this is the economic condition of these countries. These countries are agriculture dependent, they are non-industrialized, even service sector, banking sector, insurance sector, transport sector, real estate sector. These sectors of economy, the manufacturing sector, are not fully developed. As a result, these countries suffer poverty, unemployment, illiteracy, and they very often fall in debt trap. Though they have rich resources, natural resources, physical resources, human resources, but they are not in a position to exploit the natural resources because they have limited technology. Their technological availability is very limited. Due to the technological problems, they suffer the non-exploitation of their natural resources, resulting in poverty, unemployment, illiteracy, and which is in turn result in falling debt trap of these third world countries. And thirdly, there is always political crisis and instability in these countries, both internal crisis and external crisis. Internally, these countries are social cleavages, social diversities, religious diversities, linguistic diversities. These diversities and cleavages led to political crisis. And very often, the civilian governments are toppled by the military rulers. There is always a coup against the civilian government. That brings instability in countries. The popularly elected governments are dethroned, and military rulers have snatched the political power into their hands and claiming themselves as rulers and rule for decades together. So there is always a kind of political crisis and instability in these countries. And likewise, they maintain links with their former colonial rulers. For example, India, Britain is our colonial ruler. So India still maintains its linkages with the colonial ruler in the form of having membership in Commonwealth, So likewise, every country prefer to have a linkage with its erstwhile and former colonial rulers. And there is also economic underdevelopment in these countries. So these are the social and economic factors, conditions that are prevailing in these countries. Now let us see what is the role of third world countries in the world affairs, economic affairs, international affairs. The first one is the third world countries have adopted the policy of non-alignment. So as a result, they strengthen the world peace through NAM. They follow the policy of positive neutrality. They do not align themselves with any of the strategic military groups, military alliances. So they strengthen the world peace. The aim of the third world is to prevent another world war and protect the world peace. So to facilitate more world peace, they strengthen the bodies like NAM, non-alignment movement. This is one thing. And secondly, these third world countries struggle against colonialism and imperialism. Though colonialism and imperialism are not evident in the modern times, they are re-emerging in new forms. We have seen the neo-colonialism in many countries. The neo-colonialism is evident with so many multinational corporations coming up in different countries and even controlling the political regimes. So the struggle against colonialism and imperialism, and of course the neo-colonialism, is another important aspect, and third world countries are fighting against colonialism and imperialism. And thirdly, they support the UNO, they support the United Nations Organization and demand de-escalation of tensions in the world. There are tensions in the world. There is Arab-Israeli conflict, there is Indo-Pakistan conflict, India-China conflict, there is conflict between North Korea and South Korea, there is conflict between China and its neighboring countries, Russia and its neighboring countries, Argentina and Britain, or Falkland Islands. So there is always conflicts between different countries. In fact, the colonial rulers, while granting political independence to these nations, have not clearly demarcated the borders. So every country is fighting with its neighboring country on the matters of political borders. So this is how they demand de-escalation of tensions and support the UNO. So this is an important aspect. After that, they also support disarmament. Disarmament in the context of conventional weapons and strategic weapons. The spread of conventional weapons and strategic weapons is very rampant in 20th century and 21st century. So these countries want disarmament to be applied in a very strict manner. Arms control, nuclear politics, and comprehensive test ban on nuclear tests, nuclear non-proliferation. So these are the doctrines that the third world countries are adhered to. So that means they would mostly prefer disarmament, particularly disarmament from the conventional weapons and strategic weapons. So this is how, this is an important aspect. And lastly, they also demand for economic advantages through various associations and groups. One such group is UNCTAD. Second one is North-South Dialogue. Third one is WTO. Fourth one is Group of 77. So these are the various forums in which the third world countries demand a new international economic order and more economic advantages for them, because all their economies, natural resources were exploited by centuries by the colonial masters. So as a compensation to this exploitation that was done in the history, these countries demand justice and advantage, particularly economic advantage to these countries. So the third world countries put forth their economic advantage and demands for economic progress. In various associations like United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, that's called UNCTAD, that was established by UN General Assembly, and likewise North-South Dialogue and WTO, World Trade Organization, Group of 77, and various other organizations. So this is how third world countries are very dynamic in making demands, particularly in making economic demands. Now let us evaluate the whole lesson. In fact, the third world is emerging economically and politically stronger. Third world countries consist of Asia, Africa, and Latin America, and of course the countries of Oceania, as called as third world countries. And these countries are emerging strongly, politically and economically, in spite of having many disadvantages like political instability, economic backwardness. So in spite of more disadvantages, these countries are striving hard to become economically and politically stronger. This is one thing. And second thing is, the third world countries have rich natural resources and human resources and potentialities. Only thing is, their technologies are low-level technologies. That's why they want technology transfer from the highly developed countries to exploit their natural resources to the optimum. So the third world countries, though they have rich resources and potentialities, their technology is a very low-level technology, and that's why they demand technology transfer from the developed countries. So this is also another important. And thirdly, the dependence on developed countries for technology. So to make their natural resources fully developed and utilized, exploited, these countries want the developed countries to transfer the technology. So that's why they depend on the developed nations on the matters of technology. Of course, these countries are still facing the problems like low capital formation and underexploited resources. And put together, all these matters have resulted in the backwardness of these economies. All these economies are very backward. So the backwardness can be attributed to the underexploited natural resources and also low capital formation. These are the two important problems. The capital formation is very low and their natural resources are unexploited and remain as underexploited. So as a result of these two important economic reasons, their economies continues to be backward and they suffer backwardness economically. And thirdly, these countries, they have mutual solidarity among the third world countries and thus making them prosperous with resurgence. So these countries have sympathy towards each other. All the Asian countries have sympathy towards African countries. All the African countries have sympathy for Asian countries. And Asian countries and African countries have sympathies for South American countries. So, and these countries also have sympathy for Oceania countries. So they have the mutual solidarity. So this mutual solidarity among third world countries makes them prosperous with resurgence. So this is called as the third world resurgence. And the third world resurgence in the coming years will only result in making certain superpowers within third world countries. Like the fast growing economies like India, China, Australia, Brazil, South Africa, Argentina, Cuba. So these economies are very fast developing and shortly they are also becoming the $5 billion economies. So as a result of this growth and the personal solidarity and mutual solidarity among the third world countries, so there is every chance of their prosperous resurgence in the near future. So that's why the third world countries are making very serious efforts for prosperous resurgence. So this is all about the third world countries. Thank you, friends. Thank you very much.